Radio check, radio check. Well, I've just had a lovely couple of days rest here with my friends. Checked over my bike, strapped her all down, got myself some food and directions. The beauty of adventure bike riding is, right at the second, I don't know whether I'm going to go right to Banks Peninsula or left to up to the gorges behind Methven. Let's see where this bloke ahead goes. He's going to give me the nod. He go that way, I'll go this way. So it looks like it's a quick trip around the Banks Peninsula. As my friend was departing for work, she said that she's looking forward to retirement. And my parting comment was, oh, retirement's hard work. So as I ride towards the Banks Peninsula there, I'm just checking my bike out for extraneous noises, vibrations, and making sure she's right for a little bit of a gallop through these hills here today. The Banks Peninsula is made up of really two volcanoes, one centered in Lyttelton and the other one centered in Akaroa. And so there's many gullies, foothills, bays and ridge tops to ride up and over to get beautiful panoramas all around. Banks Peninsula is very close to Christchurch and part of Canterbury, the Canterbury Plains, about the centre of the South Island of New Zealand. So with tourism numbers being way down, I'm expecting less traffic out here on these hills today. And so we'll blow the hills off this morning. Then I'll cut across the lowlands here around Lake Ellesmere through to Southbridge, and I'm going to call up on a friend there, have a cup of tea with him, and then mosey on across to Geraldine. This little bit of landscape here depicts the outflow of the lava out onto the Canterbury Plains here. So that's as far as it dribbled out there, and so you ride round peninsulas of lava all the way around here to where I turn off and head up a valley. I use the Riva app here to follow my trails, track, and I just get record. So now it's following my trail wherever I go today, and so it says I've been riding 5 seconds and I've gone nowhere. So I'm working my way up here to the top, called Gebby's Pass. Lovely smell of eucalypts through here. Just reminds me of Aussie bush. Looking around for koalas. Not much hope of them, is there? So the hill's quite dry at the moment, not getting much rain, and it's mid-autumn I'm going to give it now. Good morning. Now she's a bit of alright. That's a crossbred, Angus, Hereford cross I'd say. Polled, you see, no horns at all. But by jingo, she's pushing hard to get some tucker in there. She needs supplementary crested Gebby's Pass, and I'm looking down into Diamond Harbour. That's our next turn off. Just keep her steady, Alvin. Don't go too silly down here. Stay on your side of the road and trail break through the corners. Alright, I'll do all that. I'm not dressed in the appropriate garb to go looking at gardens, but just down here at the head of this harbour, Ohenitahi Gardens. A spectacular garden. If ever you want to go wandering around in a garden, looking at a mighty array of plants, are laid out spectacularly, Ohenitahi is the one for you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Comparable to the best I've seen in England. Sissinghurst and all those trust houses around in England. But this one here, just in the head of the bay at Lyttelton, is spectacular. Back to the left, Lyttelton and Christchurch. To our right, Diamond Harbour and Port Levy. Let's go right. Check left, check right, proceed with caution. Give it up! Only up to the maximum speed though, just get a wee thrill. I tightened the chain while I was in Christchurch there, give a full lube, and I can notice it's not vibrating like it was as I came into Christchurch. She developed some slackness as I was coming through the mountain, giving a tour on them rumpty roads. I've just pulled up to Anne's house here on the hill. She lives overlooking the harbour of Lyttelton here, through to Quail Island there, and the mouth of the harbours are back over this way. That's the port of Lyttelton there. Years ago there was ferries and things coming down from Wellington, but now it's an export port there. Logs and coal, all the stuff from the west coast goes out from there. What a spectacular view you've got here, Anne. Someone's lucky enough to have a boat shed there, but that behind the boat shed there's Quail Island. The tide is out at the moment. Perfectly calm on the harbour today. So I'm directly across from Lyttelton now. The top of the Port Hills looking from Christchurch is there. That's the harbour there of Lyttelton. There's a big container ship in there, if you can just see that one. The log loading facility there, and coal loading facility. Around this way, we may see it from the top, is the harbour mouth. And there's a road going out and over to Sumner. So there's the road there from Lyttelton around to Sumner. This is a vista here with a few boats in the foreground, but that's the heads out there. I just forget the name of the heads at Lyttelton, but we're working our way around here. Hello, the sign's right in my way, so I'll walk this way. And we're going up over that saddle there. Can you see that road heading through the hills there? We're going up over those saddles there. But can you imagine that this was the volcano back here? Through there, and the two volcanoes merge up on that high country up there, and maybe we can get to the top of a pass where we can see where the two volcanoes, no, they would have met like that, I suppose, but anyway, such is life. We'll work our way up to the head of this bay here, and then cut right, I suppose. I've never been around the other side and out to the heads out there, but that's for another time. Hello, all the canoeists here playing around in the water. Must be a learner's class. I spotted these three blokes here out the corner of my eye as I came past. He's probably a 2-year-old bull, and a bigger one just over the hill there, and a bigger one further down. Lovely animals, good constitution. Look at the neck developing on them. The fact that he's here in the home paddock, and that he's got his good winter coat, and his constitution's coming back having been out working, he's looking good. So now we just climb up out of this valley up to these ridges ahead that you can see. But just talking about those bulls, I used to go out to the studs out from Rockhampton there, where they were putting or growing those great big Brahmins. Now they are about 6'5" at the top of the hump. They are massive animals when you're beside them, and the farmer was telling me that they are rangy looking buggers when they're out working, you know, and hunting for cows and all that in the scrub. But when you get them back in the yards and quieten them down and fatten them up, and they're used to people being around them, they're just lovely animals with their big lop ears Anyway, he lived right next door to the sail yards at Rockhampton, which is one of the biggest sail yards in North Queensland there. And I was so impressed to stand next to these big bulls. See these deer fences here? They're as tall as that. They are big animals when you're right beside them. And just like a kitten too. They're calm as a cucumber when they're when you're right beside them. They're giving them a bit of tucker. They don't perceive you as a threat. But when they're out working, out with the cows around, and they're having to compete for a bit of love, well, man alive, they are ornery critters. So we're about halfway up the hill at the moment, but I'll just stop on this next point here and we can see if we can work out all this strata layers of volcanic outpouring of lava here, and see which way it would have gone, and try and work out how high that volcano at Lyttelton would have been. I'll do a Yui here. We are nearing the transition from this volcano to the one across here in Akaroa, and as we come round we can see layers of lava coming out like that. Work your way around like so and follow that line of lava there, and that's heading up, 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 up. So you can imagine, I'm looking at those two clouds there at the end of my finger. That would have been the top of the volcano as she's spewing the lava out, and that's about 4 times higher than the current foothills around Christchurch and Lyttelton. A spectacular piece of geology, isn't it? So all this is slowly eroded over the years and out and tickled on down into the harbour and filled it all up, and that gives you your little bays and eddies and estuaries and things. Let's go higher. As I come round, there's a vista down into the next bay there. But I better not do too much vistaing until I make sure that I've got a clear road ahead of me, because that leads to whammo, and we don't want that, do we? Land management is a big deal here on the peninsula too. Of course, you can't get a tractor around here to put your fertiliser out and everything like that on these hills, and to get an airport up in here where a top dressing plane can land and fly off fertiliser is quite a challenge. But just let me show you how this bloke has done it. The fence, but that's a little short takeoff and landing airport strip. So they load up here and where the red car is from fertiliser in this bin, take the plane to the top of the hill, and away they go out there, out into the valley, and disperse the fertiliser with the helicopter, aeroplane I meant to say. And then when they come back, they land her and then just pop her there again, and there's a truck there to load them again. Who would have thought you'd have an airport up in here? See, from that airport there, he can blow all his farm round to the left there with minimal costs and flying, because if he had to fly out to the flats, he'd have to climb up and over a big pass and away down through Akaroa down to Little River or somewhere like that to get fertiliser into his plane. Well, here he can just go zoop, 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 and he's got it done. So the flying time is much reduced with a little landing strip right up here in the hills. There's another view of the landing strip there. So this is the pilot's eye view as he goes on in. Aim for that little white shed on the right and land right up there to the top. So we're rocking down into Port Levy, this one. This is a special area for the Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust Covenant, held on private land. I bet they're trying to get some trees growing here again. There we go, some new plantings there. And they go on all the way down the side there too. So the cocky master says, yep, you can tidy up this little peninsula, make it look beautiful again. This one here, 12 k's back to Diamond Harbour. Well, that's how far we've come. Down there to the wharf in Port Levy. But our destination is Pigeon Bay on the Port Levy Pigeon Bay Road. And that's a gravel road that heads up over the hill here. And I think we're starting to get towards the Akaroa, top of the Akaroa when we get round there. Anyway, let's see what happens. Well, a mob of sheep have just been brought down this road here, so I can smell the wee-wees and the cow poo and the footprints everywhere. We might strike them up further. But the term AGAT means a bit to the motorcycling community. It means all gear, all the time. Well, that's what I try and do. I don't like to get on this bloody thing unless it's I've got all the protection and mitigate the risks. And I'm allergic to bee stings, so if I were to get one of those little fellas down my neck and it goes whammo onto my skin, I would probably go to anaphylaxis shock, which is swelling of the throat and nausea and coughing and shortness of breath, and works its way on up a bit to extreme vomiting, and then LBMs, which is the other one for the bottom end, and leading to collapse, you see. So to prevent that, I carry an EpiPen in the back here just in case, and that gives me a bit more latitude to get the hell out of this place. But I also wear a neck brace. No, not a neck brace. I wear a neck bandana to stop them getting me on the neck, because I was riding with a bloke and he got one fair on his Adam's apple. So all the gear all the time is where I started, and that is important, especially if you're on your own up here. How would you get out of here with a broken ankle? You just have to wait for someone to come along. So you'll wear good footwear. I've got bloody excellent boots on. They cost me about $800 when I bought the bike. But the hot as the hammers of hell here as we go up this hill. And then good riding pants with pads in the knees and everything. You've got to have that. Now they're hot unless you're motoring along too, you know. And then a good jacket, a dry rider on I've got. Huh. This new one I got has got ventilations to let the air hool in under your arms and out your back, you know. And that's a big improvement. When I stopped back there to replace the battery in the GoPro, I was able to open up the vents at the back, like open the shutters as such. And then of course you've got to have a good helmet. And when you're doing videography and things, that's multi-purpose. You've got to be able to attach it to the front of the helmet. Hello, there's some girls up there. In such a way that you can see what's going on with a quick glance down to look at your controls and your lights and all that sort of thing. So that's quite a bit in it. And then to fetch a microphone inside the helmet where you can hear me without wind noise is another big deal. So you need an adapter for that. An adapter. And that seems to gobble up a bit of the extra battery life and a bit of battery life, and that means that I go through the batteries pretty quick. Now I'm not moaning, all I'm doing is telling you. To get all this right and record it is quite awkward, because you've got to concentrate on the road, because one mistake and whammo. If you start getting tired, you can easily make mistakes, so you stop frequently and have drinks and keep your food and sustenance up. And when you're Robinson Crusoe out here doing this on your own, you have to be extra cautious, because it could be a bloody hours before anyone comes through here on these back roads like this, especially while COVID's about and it's midweek and all the other riders are at work earning money, and I'm the only fool out here, a retired fool, running around these hills on my own. But there is advantages either way. Here's a nice little bloody cut here. A lot of cow shit on the road, so they must have moved a mob up and down the hill here. The temperature's not hot today, it's only 15.5, but when you're working and concentrating and riding your bike and things, you get up to steam, you know. Up to steam. That's right, that's what it feels like under all this clothing. Take her back to number 1, let her walk around here quietly, and give it to her. She loves that. Spits of stones out the back there. But you see, I'm on the inside now, and the risk is some other bugger coming the other way. So you try and keep on the outside, up on the pegs, out wide here, inside here. We're just so lucky to... Oh, it's as slippery as hell today. We're just so lucky. Look at this. I'm only an hour out of Christchurch, and we've got these sort of bloody backcountry roads that you can come and enjoy this sort of ride on one of these bikes. You can't come in here on just any sort of bike. It's got to be an adventure bike, or a trail bike, of course, but I'm into adventure bikes, and that's what she's taking me to, these backcountry roads. Now I'm going to try and stop up here. It's best to keep momentum up, but you can have a quick look out there, and that's Port Levy, that one. Mussel farms out the front there, rafts with big buoys, and then strings down with the mussels hanging off the strings, and they grow them out there and then harvest them when they're a certain size or the market demands. I'll turn this off until I get to the top of the hill. Okay, well, this is the top of the hill. We're over the saddle now, and we look down into Pigeon Bay. Now let's have a wee look at the geography here and the geology. Whoa, Betsy, whoa. You just got to be careful, because that's when you go gutsa. Now we're starting to look across, and you can see the bay of the next volcano, which is Akaroa, and the slope of the land's back this way towards the sea now. And so if you follow those lines up there and keep on going, you can see how high Akaroa was too, way up there in the blue. And this is all eroded valleys and gullies. So let's go down the bottom here and we'll see what happens. Let's see what we can make of these sheep. I'm picking the Romneys, you know. Romneys are pretty popular sheep in New Zealand. They're good for wool, good breeders, lovely lambs, not stupid mothers, you know. They're pretty good mothers, and they have a high rate of having twins, yes. And they're pretty easy care, you know. They're clean around the legs and face, not as clean as the Perindales or the Cheviots and that sort of thing, but these girls look all right, don't they? How long is that wool on there? Probably about 6 weeks, 8 weeks wool on them. But anyway, they're enjoying themselves up here on the Banks Peninsula above Pigeon Bay. No lambs with them now, they're all been weaned off, so that gives the ewes a chance to prepare for the winter. And they will have been tupped, as they say, So they are got embryos inside them now, and Paul Routley tells me all about that stuff. He's my buddy stud consultant over there at Urana in New South Wales. Tupped, he says. I've been tupped. Another Bonavista down there to Pigeon Bay. I've got my head turned to the right, but I'm certainly looking out my peripheral vision at the road ahead. That's where I should be looking. So overall, the Banks Peninsula gets 11 to 1200 millimetres of rain per year. But this last thing, they hardly had a spring. It was dry as a chip here. And now, up until now, they've only had 800 mils. So that's not just a bit over half their expected rainfall. Now, that has a big effect on animal husbandry, in that the lambs have to go a bit earlier to get them off and to give the ewes a chance, because get the young ones off the farm, and make sure that the ewes are in good nick to box on. I was just talking to a farmer back there, and he said the other advantage of a dry summer is that the wool grows finer. So Romneys are nowhere near like Merinos for fineness of wool and microns and all that, but these are about 34 microns. And my mate over in Aussie there grows very fine Merinos there about Burrawa and New South Wales. Different situation altogether, really. So I just asked him if he knew my mate over here in this next bay, Gavin Marshall, and beggar me dead, he does know them. They sort of go to field days and all that together. And he thinks that Gavin's just sold his farm last year, but still living in the house in the interim. So Gavin would be coming up for retirement. That's why he probably flicked the farm and still has an affinity to living there. Look at these beauties too. Big pines here. Isn't that one a beaut? Hey, gun barrel straight. That would be about 30 years old, that one. Pinus radiata. Farmers often have stands of trees just at the head of their valley, and they're not often well maintained. But these here have had their lift. You see they're pruned right up to there, and that gives you a clearwood on the outside there. Providing you lift that bottom part up there, that's the prune butt. And sometimes it can go away as veneer quality timber, and that gives you a premium. But if you look back in there, they haven't been pruned. They're just scungy and never looked after, and not thinned. They're grown too close together. But anyway, that's what happens. You get busy looking after sheep and cows, and you don't look after trees. These knotty buggers here are called macrocarpa. You see there? Now that's good timber. You don't have to treat that stuff when you grow. But if you were growing it as a forest, you'd take that one out there and just let these other two, they're about 10 metres apart, grow. These are trimmed here because they're by the road. But if you look into the paddock there, never been pruned. Now they might still be alright because they only got small knots on them and things like that. But if you want better timber, you have to look after it. A bit of new road works here. They're putting a top course on her. Just got to be careful. They're rolling it out. They've only just put it on the ground, on the top of the road this morning, and now they're rolling it out. We've got Fulton and Hogan here doing this bit of work. So they just on walkie-talkies and they signalled me through. To get up the top of the hill, I've got to go that one, is it?
That one.
That one. Hello, these boys here are all bringing the loads of gravel in. Wow. He likes his share of the road, doesn't he? He's bigger than me, so he can please himself. This one's Pigeon Bay. Lovely Bonavista there. Hello, I've developed the hiccups because I've been eating smoked mackerel from the last stop. It'll be interesting to see where those trucks were getting their gravel from, because I wouldn't have thought the scoria from the Banks Peninsula would be much good for roading. Yeah, they may just stockpile it over here for that particular job, but you need good top course to pack down on these gravel roads and eliminate the need of bloody grading so often. But this is good stuff here in front of me. Bit of clay in it and a bit of broken rock, you know, and it all binds together and gives you a good surface. Now I think this is the township of Pigeon Bay, this one here, and I don't know whether we get back up that hill or not. Big mob of sheep ahead, can you see them there? They're in for shearing or something. Yeah, it says Pigeon Bay Road. Here we go, that one there. But let's go up here and see what about these sheep. They're all in at the moment. No exit this way, so that might mean there isn't a road out of here. This is to Starvation Gully Road, my God. And here's all these bar lambs in here. Wonder why they're in. They're ewes, no lambs with them. What do we got? What are you doing, girls? Yeah, they're all the ewes come down off the hill. They're sorting them out, checking their mouths, checking their udders, making sure that they're right for another season, and then up you go onto the high stuff, girls. So their babies will all be down the bottom here. I can see them down this next paddock down. But they're not singing out for them, so maybe they just... no, I can't work that one out. You'll have to tell me about that. Annandale out that way, but this is the boat ramp there. Boat sheds along here. And we're coming out to the jetty. Pigeon Bay Boating Club. Let's have a look what's happening here. And there you go, a jetty there for the boating club. Well, Pigeon Bay's behind my back wheel, and now my front wheel is pointed to the top of this gully here called Pigeon Bay Road. When I get to the very crest of that, we'll turn left along the skyline. Here we go, Tanya. What a beautiful dog you got, Tanya. He's as big as my motorbike. Only a pup, I suppose.
Yes, just a little boy.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, he's in very good nick. You look after him well, hey? Yeah. And you got back feet trouble?
He's actually quite old.
Is he?
So he drags his paws. And
yes.
All the skin off his.
Oh, okay.
So when we're on the stones, he has his boots.
So you farming up here?
No, we just.
No. Okay. Yeah, no, I just seen a mob of goats here, and I thought, wonder what about them. But,
yeah.
Oh, so was he a show dog in the past? Not really? You just like big dogs, eh? We had a Great Dane once, you know, but oh, you couldn't keep the food up to them. They're just marvellous, isn't they?
Yeah.
He would eat as much as your husband, wouldn't he?
Yeah, probably better.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. So is there many of these dogs in New Zealand?
Quite a few, yeah.
Yeah.
A few breeders around.
Lovely.
He's funky to breed.
Yes.
Friends of ours breed them. So
Ah.
one of theirs.
Oh, good.
So yeah, you don't see them out and about very much.
No.
They are around.
And has he sired a lot of pups and things?
No, you haven't, have you?
He doesn't know about that side of the business, eh? Good.
All a bit of a mystery, isn't it?
Good on you. Oh, thanks for going over that with me.
That's all right.
Good.
Right?
It's been good. So, this is where we go down to Akaroa. That's down into Akaroa there. But we're going round the summit road to the left. Well, that dog was big enough to ride, wouldn't it? I remember when we had the Great Dane ourselves. Great big thing. You buy a roll of dog tucker about this long here and it'll last a day. We've got a fox terrier now who's much more frugal on the tucker and gives out just as much affection. That's what you want in a dog, isn't it? Loyalty. Tui be still looking for her sheepskin blanket, but it's down here between my legs at the moment. I've grabbed it off the dog and I'm riding all around New Zealand with the sheepskin that the dog normally has, and I'm hoping she doesn't miss it until I get back to Tauranga and she can have it back again. But this is the summit road around the crater and harbour of the Akaroa Volcano. And if I remember right, Little Akaroa is the bay around this other side here. So this is the other volcano harbour. Akaroa on that side, Barry's Bay down here, and you go back over those ridges there to Little River. Used to be Maripā out on this piece here. Just lovely. Just turned off the summit road now and we're cutting down into this place called Little Akaroa. This is a very tight little farming bay here that my friend is in, down in here somewhere. He and I started as trainee stock agents in Christchurch on Casual Street there at NMA, National Mortgage and Associates, back in the 70s, late 70s it would have been. He and I were junior stamp lickers there, dealing with the mail and learning about office procedure and merchandising and invoicing and all that sort of stuff. And I think Gavin then didn't pursue that career as a stock agent, but rather come out here onto his father's farm when his father retired. And now, another 40 years on, and here it is, it's Gavin's retiring from the farm too. And I've just heard from a farmer back down the road who knows of Gavin that he may have sold the farm and still living here. So let's see if that's the case, and I'll get a story about him. On the right you got the hawk there feeding on a carcass. You can let me get there. In there, beauty. Are you gonna stay there? He's up here in the sky, look at that. That hawk would just circle back and it'd get into that beautiful flesh of the newly killed rabbit there. Nyamo, wouldn't it be beautiful? Succulent. Now when I came over here as a boy, this was a gravel road, slippery as all hell, but now you can come down here, no trouble at all. It's all tar sealed. So it's lunchtime here in Little Akaroa. I've got some mackerel to go in my bun, ciabatta bun with a bit of lettuce, topped off with a banana. That'll tide me over. and I just realised I've left my bottle in the fridge. So this is Little Akaroa. I'm out here on the jetty, but you can see it's a tight little valley here, and Gavin's farm took on the right hand side there. He wasn't home, and the farm has been sold, so that process of getting the information and catching up with an old mate didn't work, but never mind. This is the bay here called Little Akaroa. And when I first looked out to the heads here, I thought, that's a cruise ship out there. But no, it's just a rock on the right-hand side there. Perfectly still day here today. It's a bit sloppy in the water though, isn't it? It's not clear water. Fisheries New Zealand, some rules to remind you of how many you can take and how many you can't take. We who fish need to fish sustainably. Little Akaroa Wharf, boat length up to 15 metres for yachts and 10 metres for all other vessels. No overnight mooring, no motorbikes out on there. We don't want you camping here either. Here's a little dinghy shed that you can put your dinghy in if you're a member of the community here. You need a combo key. So let's move the mackerel from the package to the belly, and we'll have our lunch here and try and get this into us before the seagulls do. Oh well, I've just tapped up my accommodation for the night. It's 200 kilometres away in Geraldine, so let's make our way there. Enjoying this hill country area of Banks Peninsula as we go. I wonder if these people in the camper van here give me a cup of tea, because I've left me drink back at Joe and Brent's. Would I be cheeky enough to pull up and say, give us a brew? No, it's not like me. Righto, let's get into it. 207 kilometres to go. We need not go silly, we just go out of here gently, enjoying the ride. I've climbed back up to the summit road. We came that way there. Let's go this way here. My GPS says go this way, then when we get round further, cut down a valley bound to Barry's Bay, so we might do that. Anyway, that was a nice little interlude down into a bit of memory for me as a boy, going down there and going farming and rounding up sheep and things. He had an unusual vehicle in those days. They called it a NAT, a G-N-A-T. It was like a frame with a three-wheeler with a bar in front that you'd move left and right to turn. Quite dangerous bloody things really, and a petrol engine on the back driving the wheels. So it was used on these hills to get around and drive up the tracks and then fetch the sheep down. But that was good fun out rabbit shooting with that, you know, go out there and have a go at the rabbits with the gnat. I think they were just too dangerous to continue in production. Well, they could be still about, you never know, do you? But oh, that mackerel was nice in the bun. I thought I'd have some now and some later, but I found myself working my way right to the bottom, so it's all wedged in under my ribs there somewhere. Oh, for a toothbrush. Well, that was a silly idea. I was heading off the road there just to give you an idea of those Chevrolet, but she bucked me a bit and got me out of balance. It's a bugger, the Chevrolet. They can stay there. See them on the side of the hill there? But that's how you hurt yourself. Taking off into the long grass, and whammo, you're upside down. Bugger cutting the corner on me. So O'Kane's Bay is behind my back wheel, and my front wheel, we're riding down the ridge from the summit road towards Akaroa. It's down over my left shoulder a little bit there. But these twisties are just lovely too to get out here. Now it's not as hot as it was on the other side for some reason. I hope that's not brewing for rain, but it's not as hot. What's the temperature? 12 degrees. It's dropped down from 20 to 12. This side here, there must be a horrendous southerly breeze come through, so that's good. Small town just ahead there, Akaroa. The French had a go at claiming New Zealand when they first came into here. So all round Akaroa there's street names with French names on the street. Rue de doo and all that sort of thing, you know. But anyway, the English prevailed and says bugger off back to France please, or you can have Mururoa Atoll. And I think they did, and they just took some bombs there and went boom and blew it all up. We don't hear much about Mururoa Atoll in the mail at the moment, do we? Probably because it's all so polluted with their bloody nuclear bombs testing and things. Bring her back, Alvin, bring her back. She's going too fast. So I do a little bit of trail braking there and then put the power on. She just loves it. I'm in number 4, but I'm probably better to go down to number 3 and use the compression of their donkey as well. No one coming that way. No one coming that way. Akaroa's back that 8 k's that way. Devotials and then Christchurch. So we're effectively on the main highway between Akaroa and Christchurch. So she's tar seal all the way now. And what's my destination for distance? 190 k's. So it's pretty boring doing the open roads. Well, I'm back down on the flats again now, out of Little River, and I've got this great big lake, Lake Canary, on my left here, full of birds, eels, swans, ducks. Lovely. Oh, well, this is definitely the end of the video. Up there is Gebby's Valley, where we first started off. I went up under that hill there, and that completes a circuit to here. So this time I'm going to sign off, and I wonder what'll happen next. All the best. Catch ya on the next video.